We have got our last 2 days of the Lammer County Fair and Rodeo today and tomorrow. Rodeo starts at 7 o'clock at night, but the fair is open, in the afternoons, early evenings. Lots of fun. Was able to take my boys there on Saturday, but we are going to dive into a little bit more of that here shortly. This is live in Fort Collins. We come to you live every Monday at noon. But one of the big things that we focus on is city council meetings. But the city of Fort Collins had a few weeks off from basically, what was it, July? I think the week before July 31st even, until August 5th. So our next city council meeting will be next Tuesday, which we'll report on the following week. Doesn't mean that there's not some good information. In fact, there was an article that came out today in Biz West talking about a citizens petition in Greeley about the Cascadia project. That's a $1.1 billion project that essentially is going to be mortgaging the entire city of Greeley. And there are some residents that are not so excited about that. So we'll dive into that as well. But starting with probably, I would say this is so interesting because Janae is very healthy. She's health oriented. And where we get a lot of our produce, or the majority of our produce, Costco. It is got some great produce. And so we go to Costco all the time, spend way too much money there. It is a great store and builder of sales tax revenue for the town of Timnath. They are flush with some sales tax revenue because of that Costco and Walmart there that, I mean, people are driving in all over the place to join. But apparently a big switch is happening there from Pepsi to Coke. Tell me, for me, it's a nothing burger. I'm not paying attention too much. I'm not ordering too many Cokes or Pepsis myself, but it's a big deal. Pepsi's been there since 2013. Beaver's Market. Has anyone been to Beaver's Market? Or I believe it's kind of called Fresh Foods Beaver's Market now. But has anyone ever been to Beaver's Market in Fort Collins? I can tell you that actually, long story. You guys get a little vision of the hair growth. My daughter hasn't ever seen me with hair. So I'm growing it out just one more week. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with this nasty thing on my face. We'll see if it stays or goes. But when I was in high school, I was working for my dad, who ran a, essentially it was an impulse item buy. They would buy product from, all overseas, ship it in. And then he had 250 sales agents across the United States that he would have essentially sell to convenience stores. So like sunglasses, cigarette lighters, bandanas, all that kind of stuff. And one of my clients was Beaver. So I would service Beaver's Market when it was owned by Doug. I think it was Doug Beaver was his name. When it was owned by the Beavers, and they were great, supported the local. I mean, I was in high school. I think, maybe I was in freshman or sophomore year in college, but I was servicing their store, and they were nothing but supportive and great. And I, probably wasn't doing that great of a job, honestly, at that time. But that building is unique in the sense that it is along Mountain Avenue in a residential neighborhood, and one of the very few commercial operations in that area. In fact, there was a gas station across the street where the Little on Mountain which is actually where we're going this Thursday, thanks to insurance agent Seth Gilbert. So if you're looking for good insurance, he is definitely somebody to explore, talk with, and he covers our home and auto. But we're going to be going to the Little on Mountain on Thursday, and that was redeveloped from a gas station into some townhomes and then the Little on Mountain. But the zoning that's there doesn't necessarily allow for a grocery store. So Beaver's Market has been grandfathered in, and 3 years ago it sold to a new owner, and apparently is selling again to the Fort Collins Food Co-op, which, if you work or are around downtown Fort Collins, you know that the food co-op is on East Mountain, right near the square. And for me, when I worked downtown for, over a decade, it was always a great spot for me to go grab an apple, orange, some turkey sandwich meat. There was, nuts, and it was just a small grocery store, and it was a co-op. That is it sounds like what is going to be taking over Fresh Foods Beavers Market in the near future. There was no comment from Fresh Foods, but it looks like it's going to double its footprint from about 3,500 square feet to about 7,000 square feet at the new Beavers Market. So I know Beavers Market is beloved. It is more expensive than like if you go to Costco or King Soopers or things, or Walmart, of course, but it's a neighborhood convenience. So talk about like walkability, bikeability. Beavers is definitely very well supported and desired for the residents. And if you are a resident in that area and you like having Beavers Market there, I would recommend making sure you shop there, because we support the businesses by way of our dollar spent. So Fort Collins Food Co-op going to be taking over that Fresh Foods Beavers Market sooner than later. This is one of the cool programs that the city of Fort Collins does. It partners with the urban forestry, the forestry department, and they have upped their number of trees that they sell on an annual basis from 500 to 1,000 trees annually for $25 per tree. So, significant deals to be had here. That goes on 1 week from today. And on the coloradoan.com, they recommend that you set up an account before the 11th, because these trees sell out fast. This year's trees are going to have some maples, catalpas, oaks, elms, and fruit trees. August 11th is going to be when you order them. September 6th is going to be when you pick these up. Now, only residents of the in the Fort Collins growth management area, so not necessarily Fort Collins proper, but within the Fort Collins growth management area, you can purchase up to 2 trees this year. So that's 1 week from today. Something super cool. I don't need or want any trees in my lawn, but it's a big, the reason why the city of Fort Collins does this is because we have an urban forest, and our tree canopy is extremely important, not just, visually, aesthetically, but it is economic or environmentally. It helps provide shade, which requires less water, less AC, obviously does an oxygen component as well. But City of Fort Collins gives away 1,000 trees every year. Now it used to be 500. Now it's 1,000 for $25 per tree. So pretty cool. 1 week from today. I better tell my wife, because there is our free mulch day as well, where the line of cars and trucks and trailers is forever long. And I told her, I was like, gosh, I would never want to go sit in that line. And she goes, I would absolutely sit in that line. You should have told me that it was free mulch day. So there are different days in Fort Collins that I probably should tell and let her know, but that is coming up. Even though I really, really don't want another tree in my yard. Dang it. My jeans have a rip in them. Time to get rid of these bad boys. School is upon us. Man, this summer went by so fast. I think every summer goes by fast. But we've got school. I know my sister, who teaches in the Weld County RE4 school district, today was her first day back. I think prepping for students to return, but 10 days from today, actually 9 days for kindergartners, will be the first day. So in Poudre School District, August 13th will be for kindergartners, 6th graders, and 9th graders, I believe it is, for kind of early orientation, which I think is super cool. So if you're a kindergartner, obviously it's going to be your first day of true school. But then 6th grader, you're getting into a new school, middle school, as well as 9th graders, you're getting into high school. And that can be really, I remember, how I was, man, I was small. I was small. I was skinny. I was, vibrantly redhead. And so I would say for sure nervous, and definitely it can be overwhelming, but I think that's just a really cool day where they come in, they bring kids in a day early so they can get oriented to the layout, the feel, before the rest of the school arrives the following day on August 14th. Different schools could start earlier or later. CSU isn't starting until August 25th, but you're probably going to see, and I do have, my wife is out of town right now, so I do have the boys here with me today. So Boone just opened the door, but let's see here. Boone, I'll be with you in just a little bit. Okay. Give me 15 minutes. Yeah. You bumped heads. Do you want to say hi to everybody? You say hi. He bonked his head. So and mommy's not home yet. Mommy gets home here in about an hour. Okay. I'll be out there in a little bit. Okay. I know. You'll be up there, boy. I'll be right out. Shut the door behind you. Okay. So, shut the door, bud. So you might see CSU students. Actually, I have seen them in the grocery stores loading up on frozen pizzas and all the snacks you could ever want, and getting ready to move into the dorms and also off-campus housing, things of that nature. But August 25th, the traffic you're going to see increase. You're gonna see it pump up a little bit. But yes, it's coming up on us. It's crazy. School's already starting, but that does mean I'm not a huge football fan per se, but fall football hikes. Fall is absolutely my favorite season of the year. So I'm about it. But this week in Fort Collins, man, it's gonna be hot, like 90s, mid 90s all week. Odell Brewing was named a top bar in USA Today, which is pretty cool. It seemed like it was kind of it was a very unique list, but regardless, it's always fun, and you got to support those companies that make those lists, whatever they are. And Odell's, I will say, is definitely one of the fan favorites as far as patios go, but its tap room is awesome. Lots of different, and then you've got the Odell Brewing project for its wine, and just a great feel and vibe and enjoyment for lots of people. Now, we haven't gone there with our kids. Well, we have. We went there once, and it was like a friend's birthday party. We were there for like an hour or so, but apparently, it's relatively family safe. So feel free to bring your kids. But otherwise, of course, it's a brewery, but definitely OG Fort Collins brewery. So big time support of Odell's. I was just talking with a buddy of mine last week who lives in Mosaic, and one of the things that I've actually hinted at in the past, which I really appreciate of Hartford Homes, which is a major developer here in Northern Colorado, is they bring in their amenities before the development is fully built, which is huge because a lot of communities wait until the community is fully built out, until they bring in their pools and their parks and their courts and all that kind of stuff. But there was always, I remember we worked with so many people who bought in Mosaic, between townhomes and condos and single families. But I remember driving through there, and right by the sales office, there was always this future 20-acre park. And it was just like, all right, well, when is this park going to come? And it sounds like that is moving forward. It's going to be a neighborhood park, 8.2 acre site. There's going to be basketball courts, playgrounds, outdoor gaming areas, multi-purpose fields, shelter picnic areas, and then 12 acres of open space, along with like walking trails and paths that connect through the community. And that development is I believe is fully built out. Now you've got Bloom right to the east of that development, which is built by Hartford Homes, and a really cool development because it's a unique offering in the sense of like small cottage houses, affordable homes for people to buy. But Mosaic, as I understand, I believe is fully built out, except maybe some commercial infill spots there. But that will be going through the conceptual review process and hopefully coming to you sooner than later. As I was preparing for this weekly live, there's a few different news articles I like to look at. Colorado and BizWest, North 40 News, which I just saw. Lucas is on the stream right now, who I believe either was or is a contributor for North 40 News. So always want to support him in what he does. He's a financial planner. So if you're interested or needing that, definitely go reach out and talk with him. But regardless, let's see here. There was a group that was formed, and it was approved on. It's a group that's targeting the ordinance that passed the $1.1 billion Cascadia project that was approved on May 6th by the City of Gley Council. It would be a huge development. I mean, I'm talking about like water parks, hotels, residential development, commercial, ice hockey arena. It'd be in West Greeley, just west of the 34 business and 34 bypass. So right in that area, if you can imagine going, west on or east on US 34 from I-25, just before you have the bypass and business routes. But what's crazy, and I did talk with some individuals in the know, and I didn't realize what kind of they were planning on doing. And they're planning on mortgaging, it sounds like 46 public buildings to provide collateral to the developer to be able to build this. $115 million is essentially what they're going to use as collateral with these 46 public buildings. And then the annual debt service is going to be $25 to $30 million, regardless of what the project's success is. And the project is projected to bring in $44 million per year from operations and visitor spending. So there needs to be 4,500 registered voters to get the 10% voting rule. So one thing that there's been some petitions that have passed. Actually, there's one for the Hugh Stadium that's going to be on this year's ballot. We'll talk about some ballot initiatives and conversations here shortly. But essentially, to get a petition onto the ballot, you've got to have 10% of the previous term's vote count. And Greeley actually is 4,586 voters. And it sounds like they've got that. So the November 4th election for Greeley is going to have the Cascadia project on it, which is going to be huge. We tried to get Martin Lind onto the podcast, and we were trying to get him earlier this year when he understood that by January, February, they were going to have the go or no go for this Cascadia project. It took until May. And even at this point, it sounds like they're not necessarily going to have a full picture of that. So, it doesn't, it does, I guess some of the conversations that were happening in this article were about like downtown businesses and the health and safety, the health of the Greeley economy in general. And Greeley is a growing area. Weld County is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. Greeley is one of the fastest growing communities. And I don't know, Martin Lind has had very successful projects, Water Valley, Rain Dance. This could be another one. It's interesting, some of the names that they're calling him. I will say that, it's been difficult to get Martin on the podcast. So if you know him, or, just give him a little bump, say, hey, remember, you're supposed to do the Fort Collins Fellas podcast. But regardless, it could be a massive development for that US 34 and I-25 corridor. Johnstown, Greeley, Loveland could all benefit from it. And people would be traveling in from, Denver, Wyoming to shop and spend their money there. So I don't know where I stand on it. It doesn't, they do have the Blue Arena right there, the ranch complex that we were just at for Lammer County Fair. I don't know. He's getting a lot of support, a lot of dollars. It sounds like the city of Greeley really wants this, but maybe it's not the best financial plan. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Good luck to you, Mr. Martin Lind. November 4th, we have got 7 candidates on the ballot for mayor. We've got 3 council seats and then some other things coming up. So these ballots will be mailed out mid-October, and the Coloradoan is going to do some kind of deep dives into these candidates. But regardless, here are the mayor candidates. Tricia Canonico, she's currently a District 3 council member. Adam Eggleston, victim advocate and former realtor. Emily Francis, current District 6 council member. Adam Hirshorn, civic advocate. Shirley Peel, former District 4 council member. And I believe she's on the Building and Permits Committee, I believe. Scott Van Tottenhoeve, PSD employee. FOCO MX founder. Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. And then Austin White, formerly homeless advocates for converting unused commercial space to housing. So those are going to be your 7 candidates. There is ranked choice voting in Fort Collins this year for the first time. So it does matter who you vote first, second, third, fourth for. They'll have up to 7 spots. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. District 1 will also have it ranked voting because there's 3 candidates for that. Chris Conway, Susan Gutowski, current, the incumbent, Daisy Montgomery. And then District 3, there's 2 candidates, Josh Fudge and Steve Urash. District 5, and District 3 is my district. District 5 is 2 candidates, Amy Hoven and Zoel Lane. Here are some other ballot measures, so something to start paying attention to. There's 6 charter amendments, and then the citizen initiative. Now, here's another citizen initiative. Make former Hugh Stadium a site a natural area. From my understanding, what's going to happen, because this is actually going through the multi-use recreational use for the Hughes Stadium, I believe has been voted on first reading, but the second reading is going to be voted on, I believe, August 19th, it looks like, actually. There we go. Which they're going to vote to pass it, but refer it to the ballot. So from my understanding, what it is going to look like is for Hugh Stadium, you're going to have an option. And this is huge, 164 acres on the west side of Greeley. I'm voting for multi-use recreation space, hands down, no questions asked about it. No doubt. I think, and I'm interested to hear your perspective as well. One of the reasons why changing it back into a natural area wasn't necessarily like the top priority for the city of Fort Collins was because city staff said, actually, it's going to cost an incredible amount of money to renaturalize it, essentially, because there's still concrete there and infrastructure that needs to be removed and remediated. And while we're doing this, there's other uses that could be put here, like CSU wanted to use this as, affordable housing, which, we discussed that last week. And so it sounds like this is going to go onto the ballot with like an either or option of what would you like to see at the Hughes Stadium, natural area or a multi-use recreational thing, which you could include bike parks, disc golf, natural areas, walking paths, connecting trails. So I'm voting 100% for the multi-use recreational space. I just don't think I think it's extremely rare when 164 acres this close to Fort Collins comes available. And I will say there's only a small component of it, or I should say there's a decent size component of the Hughes Stadium in the multi-use offering that still is going to keep it as natural areas and habitat space for wildlife. So do I think we need 164 acres, or can we leverage some of that for other cool, fun uses that are going to maximize the use of that? There's also going to be a renewal of some taxes on there, not new taxes, but renewal of taxes. I'm going to be fully supportive of that. I think it's my dad. He goes, he's like, I don't want to vote for any taxes. And I love my dad to death, but I think Fort Collins, like you could juxtapose Fort Collins and Loveland right now with like, okay, Loveland is voting against all taxes. And you can see they've lost the fireworks. Public bathrooms are closed on certain days. Their budget has been constricted substantially because of the reduction in sales tax revenue. And while I do think we need to be careful in Fort Collins of not letting it go crazy on how much sales tax we are charging or generating, but we just passed a 0.5-cent sales tax at the end of 2023, which became in play in 2024, which generated $10 million a year for Parks and Recreation, $5 million for travel, and then $5 million a year for carbon, environmental stuff. And I think our parks are one of the things that separates Fort Collins from many different areas, like that that neighborhood park that's going to be built out at Mosaic. That is a part of this. And so I'm definitely going to be voting for the renewal of those sales taxes. I just think Fort Collins is great. But yes, I do believe we got to be careful to a certain degree of sales taxes and making sure they don't get too crazy. If you're interested in running for any of those mayor seats or city council seat, filing deadline is August 26th. You have to have at least 25 Fort Collins voter signatures. And at that point, you can be a candidate for mayor or a city council seat. So if that's something that you're interested in, good luck. All right, things to do this weekend. There was actually the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs was listed as the 8th best travel attraction in the United States, which like I kind of shrugged my shoulders at. I was like, all right, well, what else is on that list, right? I mean, pretty decent attractions. The NASA Kennedy Center, Merritt Island, Florida, Empire State Building, the Sun Studio, Memphis, Tennessee, Central Park, New York, Stetson Mansion, DeLand, Florida, John Pennekamp, I don't know, Coral Reef State Park in Key Largo, Florida, Brooklyn Bridge, National Museum of World War II Aviation, Metro Museum of Art in New York, and Alcatraz Island. So I was like, all right, well, I mean, that's pretty sweet. And that's just 2 hours to the south of us. So if you're interested, I'm actually reading Winston Churchill's 6-volume series right now, which is talking about, World War II essentially is the main focus, and some of the aviation advancements from the UK and Britain and everything like that. So only 2 hours to the south of Fort Collins. If you're on the roads, be careful. Sturgis is going on August 1st through the 10th. So you could see a significant amount of travel up and down I-25. So definitely be careful there. Lori Summer Trail Series. If you're interested in trail running, there's going to be some mini series August 5th through August 26th on Tuesday nights, late in the evening, and you can kind of get some low-key trail races under your belt if you're interested. Not for me, but hey. The Poudre River Fest is August 9th at New Belgium, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then the Lammer County Junior Livestock Sale, August 6th, 1 to 4 p.m. So must be after the Lammer County Fair and Rodeo that ends on the 5th. They come back and sell some of that livestock. Now, of course, today and tomorrow are the last days for the Lammer County Fair and Rodeo. I was telling a story on Instagram a little bit earlier about this, but man, it was a blast. It's expensive. Okay, so what I should say this: free parking, free admission. So there are things that you can do there for free. Absolutely, you can go there on a budget and have a blast. But from there, it can start to get a little expensive. Each ticket is $1. I saw rides ranging from about three tickets per ride to 5 tickets per ride. And so, like not cheap. Now you can buy a $40 band that gets you unlimited. As a parent, my best advice is, depending on the age of your kids and how much you're wanting to do, would be, as a parent, buy like $15 worth of tickets. And because you're going to go on like 3 or 4 rides with your kids, but then buy your kids the unlimited passes. And that'll get them on all rides. But from there, you're going to be, buying food and drinks and things of that nature. There are like 64-ounce tubs of lemonade, which we did buy for my 2 sons and I. We just shared one. I was like, all right, there's for $8, we can buy 32 ounce and buy 2 of those, or we can buy 1. So I thought it was a better deal, and it did definitely suffice. But the most expensive thing that I thought was the games. Like for 1 ball or 1 toss was $5. And for 3 balls or 3 tosses, it was $10. And I'm like, for a tiny little stuffed animal? So I was joking with a buddy of mine that, like, I was like, man, that was a fortune. It cost me probably about $250 that day to go to the fair, but it was a lot of fun. And again, lots of free things to do. So you can go and you could watch the Bearded Patrick. Yeah, you'll see it on Wednesday, Craig. But there's lots of things to do. You can go watch horse barrel racing, and then of course the rodeo starts at 7:00. Tonight and tomorrow night are the last 2 nights. So if you're looking at something to do, definitely a lot of fun. And you can do it on a budget. You can also go there and spend a crap ton of money. I have definitely found I am no longer in the business of spinny things. we did the alien abduction and some other thing. And I'm just like thinking about it makes me nauseous a little bit, but like just a bunch of spinny deals and no more. I was not right the rest of the day. I just kind of had to like tough it out because I was single parenting that day. But that's kind of it as far as things to do this weekend. That's everything as far as what's going on in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado. Appreciate you guys watching. And until, let me make sure there's no other questions or comments, snide comments like the bearded Patrick. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will talk to you tomorrow, market update live, 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, going over all real estate stats, information, how the market's reacting. So join tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. See you then.